it's me, unapologetically Gapping for to enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. Hey, it's me, unapologetically Gapping for to enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know I'm supposed to be coming out with the Alexis Ware crime story and the YouTube beef gone wrong, but I had to sit that on the back burner for now. I was going over this case that I wanted to talk about, but it's just been sticking with me, and I feel like I should talk about it and show you guys the facts in the case and then my opinion towards the end. Regardless, I don't stand with the bio mom or the stepmom. I'm standing with the victim. So justice for Jurayah. I stand with and for Jurayah. But before we get into things, I have to give my fair use warning and my trigger warning. This may be triggering to some, as I will be recounting this baby's injuries and what could have possibly happened in the moments of her death. Jurayah Smith was born on July 26, 2016, to Morris Bively IV and to Dedruanasmith. Dedruana and Morris were not dating or boyfriend and girlfriend. Morris had pursued Dedruana on several occasions, and she refused his advances. One night after drinking, they both decided to hook up, and Dedruana became pregnant. When she first became pregnant, she let Morris know, and he tried to push her into getting an abortion, but she did not want to do that. Morris was already in a relationship with TKiaBevily. They had actually been together for years. So he was cheating on her and got this other woman pregnant. Him and TKiaBevily were actually engaged to be married. But with him finding out Dedruana's due date, he decides to push TKiaBevily into moving up their wedding day, so that they're married before this baby comes into the world. So, like I stated before, Jurayah was born July 26th. Their wedding was on July 27th. He tried to keep this secret under wraps and away from his wife. So after she was born, he did insist on a DNA test because he refused to believe that he produced this child from a one-night stand. So they went ahead and ordered the at-home DNA test, but Morris, trying to make sure his chances were in his favor, he corrupted the test, so it came back as inconclusive. Dedruana wasn't really concerned about it. She did test one other man, but it came back that he was not Jurayah's father. She wasn't really going to be bothered with the situation. But a family member of Morris went to TKiaBevily and told her that her husband potentially has a child out here and that she needed to find out what was going on. So TKiaBevily reaches out to Dedruana, and that's the conversation I have showing above. You will notice how controlling she is with this situation. She wanted to do another DNA test, but she wanted it done at a lab of her choice, and she would be the one transporting Dedruana and Jurayah there. After the lab results came back showing that he was indeed Jurayah's father, she also wanted to take control of the relationship. She did not want Dedruana texting or calling her husband about anything. Everything had to go through TKiaBevily. She was the one who arranged pickups and drop-offs. She never allowed the two to be in contact with one another about their own child. While in the care of both sets of parents, either Dedruana having Jurayah or Takia and Morris having Jurayah, the social services actually visited them twice due to someone calling in for concern. While Jurayah was in Takia's care one day, she had an injury where she had a scrape on her forehead, down her nose, and also a black eye. Takia states that Jurayah was just learning how to walk and tripped and fell and scraped up her face. Jurayah also had a very apparent black eye, but later they tried to clear it up by saying that she suffered from eczema, causing her eyes to turn black like that. So we are going to recount the events of the night Jurayah passed away from Takia's own words. Before we jump into this portion of the video, just some other quick things I wanted to throw out there. The day Jurayah passed away, or the night, let's say the day of that night, they received a phone call that Morris's mother was on her deathbed. So they were trying to get everyone together to go down to the hospital and visit with his mother. It just so happened the day of receiving that news, Danielle, which is Morris's cousin, ran into Dedruana while she was running errands, and she had Jurayah with her. Danielle asked if Jurayah could come to her house to play with her kids, but was ultimately transported from Danielle to meet with Takia and Morris by Morris's brother, who has mental health issues. I just want to lay some of these facts out. Okay, so let's listen to Takia's own words as to what happened that night.
Jurayah Smith, and what happened on the 21st, and 22nd, coming up to the 22nd of October 2017.
Word that his mom, Morris's mom, who's in the hospital, probably wouldn't make it past that day. So we wanted both the girls, Jurayah and Austin, to spend time and be around his mom, Morris's mom. So we all went to River Region in Vicksburg. We got there around 12 o'clock, and we stayed there all day until about 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, whenever we stayed and made it back. And we left the hospital, went to the wing spot in Vicksburg. I cannot think of the name, but it's between the Mexican restaurant and Dollar General on Highway 61. After picking up Morris's food, we went to Pizza Hut in Port Gibson to pick up my food. After leaving Pizza Hut, we made it to the house. Aubrey was still asleep. I believe Jurayah woke when Morris got her out of the car. I put Aubrey in her basket. Morris brought Jurayah to the bedroom, the master bedroom as well, and laid on the bed, changed her diaper, went to lay in the crib. Aubrey kind of stirred a little bit, so I went to, just coax her back to sleep. And then I tried to clean up a little bit from the mess we left when we got in a rush that morning, while Morris went and took a shower. After Morris got out, was getting out of the shower, I was going in to put my towel and my clothes in, and that's when I heard Jurayah kind of making a noise. Do I need to do it? It was like katak. It was real low. It was like katak. And so I went, when Morris said, well, I'll go check. And I said, no, it's okay. You just get out the shower. I'll go check. And so I just looked over in her crib, and she was still turned in the same position that he had laid her, which was on her stomach. with her head turned to the right, with her baby doll in front of her and her blue rabbit behind her, and her sheet pulled up to like here. And she stopped. She stopped, and I went back in the bathroom, and then I went to take my shower, and I saw Morris went and got in the bed. I mean, just went and got in the bed, because when I got out, he was already asleep. And ESPN was on the TV.
So he was asleep. You got a shower.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
Cause you gotta think about it. They had a game that Friday night. He works from 6 o'clock in the morning. About 6:30. We'll leave the house at 6:30 in the morning, and then it's out on the field until about 10, and then he doesn't get home until about 11:30, sometimes after 12. And then he had community service that morning with Capital League of, I don't know, I guess Alcorn hosted. And so he had to get up and go to community service and be in Natchez, not in Natchez. I think on Alcorn campus for 8, but he also had to go pick up a couple of the football players that are also a part of Capital League. But, and I don't take a short shower. I'm in the bathroom for about 10 minutes, so I would not. It was normal for me to come out and use it. But, so we get to sleep. It was about 11 o'clock when both of us were going to sleep. And, so, wait, hold on. I completely forgot. Because I was just thinking, how was it 11 and we got home at 10? Morris and I sat in the sunroom after both the girls went to bed. We sat in the sunroom talking. He had like a little breakdown about his mom. And we sat out there for about 20-25 minutes. But we went outside. It's like sunroom, as you see, is still part of the house. And the hallway connects to both the nursery and the master bedroom. But then after that, that's when we went to go take a shower. There we go. So then he got in the bed. Well, he was asleep. I got in the bed, turned the TV off, went to sleep. He woke me up around 5:30, asking if we had any juice in the house. I said, no, we got some Powerade. Would you like me to put it on ice? And he said, no, you don't have to put it on any ice. Just bring me a bottle. So I said, okay. So I went to go through the, I would not normally walk through the nursery to get him a pack. We'll get whatever you want at the kitchen. And I noticed Jurayah was sleeping in what seemed to me was an uncomfortable position. And whenever I see her sleeping in what seems to me is an uncomfortable position, I usually move her. And when I went to move her, she was cold. And Aubrey has a cold and has had a cold for about the past month. We usually sleep in a cold house, but since she's been sick, we've been trying to see if sleeping warmer will help her not stay so sick. So it was odd for her to be so cold, as warm as it is in the house. And so that, along with how heavy she was, how heavy and how stiff she was, it really kind of like scared me, because I'm like half asleep. And it like scared me for a minute. So I went and I got Morris and I said I'm going to check on Jurayah. And he got out the bed, went to go, he turned her over. And she was still hurt. Like, this arm was like stuck here. And then her legs were still in the position they were. And her mouth looked, I didn't look at it long, because I couldn't look at it long. So, but it looked like her face had conformed to the shape of the crib, the side of the crib, and I knew her face was in the blanket. And so when her mom got there, he called 911 and told them where to come. And then he called her mom and told her that there was an emergency with Jurayah and she needed to get to the house. I kept trying to figure out, like, what happened, what happened, what did we do, what happened. because she's 14 months old. You know, SIDS is 12 months. You start wearing my SIDS at 12 months. And all she had in the bed was her bunny rabbit, her bed, her sheets. She wasn't tangled in the sheets. Her face was, she did have a rather large size pillow in the bed with her, but you know, she was a big girl, so I didn't understand. I don't understand. You know, I don't. So that's, here we are today.
Let's do a little pause right here with TKia's interview, and let's listen to the bio mom, Dedruana.
Do you think that the wife would do something to the baby? Just give me your true feel.
Yeah, because, I mean, she just didn't die. I just don't believe that. And she didn't suffocate. She's big enough to move around and lay at home under the cover, and she would get from under the cover. I just don't believe that she suffocated. She was too old for SIDS. She was too old. And when I got there, he called me at 5:30. I was at my friend's house, sleep on her couch, and it was like, come to my house, it's right. And I'm like, what's wrong? He was like, just come quick. He didn't tell me anything. And when I got there, he walked me through the house, and the wife was sitting on the couch, and she didn't have no kind of look on her face. She was just sitting there, and I didn't know what was going on. But once I got into the room where my baby was, she was just laying there, and she had to be laying there for a while because her lips were a different color. She was cold. It was just...
Okay, so I'm going to ask you again. Do you think the wife did something to her?
Yes. Something's missing in between there. She wakes up, like I said, in the middle of the night to get something to drink. And when we sleep in my bed, she would always be up under me. If I move, she move. If I wake up in the middle of the night, she getting up with me. Something not right.
I honestly really feel for Dedruana. Not only did she lose Jurayah, but her death is thrown in her face. As of today, they have I Stand With TKia pages on all social media. There was even a GoFundMe opened up to raise funds to help with her bond because she did receive a $1 million bond. But this came after the court proceedings. So after hearing the two testimonies and some of the facts in the case, we have to pose a few questions. So could it be that Jurayah was possibly abused before being in the custody of the other family members? Could it be that she was hurt while in the vehicle with the uncle with mental health issues? Or could it be that while Morris was in the shower, Jurayah woke up like her mother stated that she does every night, perhaps fussy, and then TKia, enraged, hits Jurayah's head 5 times on the side of the crib. TKia advises Morris that she heard Jurayah make a sound while he was in the shower. Then the both of them hear her make a noise that sounds similar to a cough. TKia also insists on checking on the child herself, stating that Jurayah was sleeping peacefully and nothing was wrong. So what makes sense out of these scenarios? But before we go any further, I do at least want to go ahead and read the autopsy reports so there is no confusion at all. The autopsy for Jurayah was performed October 24th, 2017. The photographs show 5 scalp contusions to the left parietal forehead and left temporal scalp. Associated with this trauma, a non-displaced left temporal skull fracture was produced. This in turn produced acute subarachnoid and subdural hemorrhage, which in turn produced cerebral edema and brain swelling. So based upon the medical findings, the cause of death is blunt force head injury. The mechanism of death is acute cerebral edema. The manner of death is homicide. Also in the findings, they spoke about an old skull injury or old head injury that had healed or was in the process of healing. So there was evidence of that, and I'm thinking that came from when she had the black eye and the scrape down her face. The new injury, however, showed no signs of healing at all. And I'm bringing that to the attention because some people were trying to say that the ME could not properly age the head injury, when in fact he was able to age the older one and show that the new one had not aged at all. So just to be clear, there is no evidence of the healing process, and there is evidence of perimortal acute scalp contusions. Perimortal signifies that the injuries occurred right around or at the very time of death and did not have a chance to start healing. Which means ultimately she died immediately. The only way injuries could heal is if the body has life. There was no healing. She died instantly. So that comes back to who was Jurayah in the care of at the time of her death. If in fact she received 5 blows to the head and died immediately, there are only 2 people, and that is Morris and TKia. Now I want to shift to the corruption in this case, because ultimately, they both were arrested and charged with this baby's murder. TKia even went through trial and was found guilty. But let's take a look at what happened with this news clip, and then I'm going to follow it up with an interview by this woman named Alexa from Jurayah's Army. This interview took place on the AFC Podcast.
A week ago today, the stepmother convicted of killing her 14-month-old stepdaughter has been released on bond after being granted a retrial. In an exclusive 12 News interview, the family of the late toddler, Jurayah Smith, speaks out against the Claiborne County judge who tried the case. 12 News' Anthony Howard has the story. Anthony?
The family accuses Judge Tamika Irving of being biased in the case of the state of Mississippi versus TKiaBevily. They feel the judge may have had a personal connection to the Beverly family, inhibiting her ability to fairly try this case.
She shouldn't have ever been over this case.
After serving only 8 months of a life sentence for the murder of her stepdaughter, TKiaBevily is out on bond.
I do not feel like that's fair at all, but that's another thing with the judge.
Dedruanasmith says she recently discovered that Claiborne County Judge Tamika Irving had a personal relationship with the Beverly family.
The judge was supposed to recuse herself from this case because she knew Mr. Beverly, Mr. Morris's father. That's a conflict of interest right there.
The family of 14-month-old Jurayah says the judge and the Beverly family all attend the same church.
If you're assuming that a juror is related to, an extended family member of Jurayah, then it's safe for us to assume that your father or father-in-law who pastors a church, whose co-pastor is the defendant's father, you all knew each other.
TKiaBevily was granted a retrial and bond eligibility after it was determined Juror 24 was related to the family of the victim.
I feel like they were looking for anything just to give this girl a retrial, and they did.
Relatives of the victim believe the relationship between the judge and the Beverly family caused her to be lenient with the case.
In the history of this court's existence, there has never been a bond given to a capital murder. Never. In the history of this court's existence, there has never been a retrial granted. There has never been a case overturned ever in the history of Claiborne County Justice Court.
It's my feelings because I feel like Jurayah's life didn't matter. That's all they care about was TKia. What about Jurayah? She's the one who's not here. And we want justice again.
Now, the family also believes the relationship between the judge and the Beverly family is the reason Morris Beverly, the father of Jurayah, doesn't have a scheduled trial date. I reached out to Judge Irving, but she has not been available for comment at this time. Melanie?
Anthony, thank you.
Now we'll hear from Alexa on the AFC podcast.
I am from Mississippi. I'm a part of Jurayah's army. Her name is Jurayah Smith. She was killed by her stepmom, TKiaBevily. I was calling in to confirm some of the information that you're supplying on your podcast. We really appreciate your support on both ends of you not picking a side and you honestly giving your genuine opinion. But just to clarify, Morris was not married when Jurayah was conceived. Morris gave the impression that he was not in a relationship. Morris pursued her until he was able to, I guess if you want to call it, get in her pants. Their sexual encounter did lead to him getting her pregnant. He found out at 3 months of her pregnancy that she was pregnant. He chose not to tell Takia. Instead, he went ahead and pushed his previous engagement that nobody knew about with Takia forward, pushing up the date so that they end up being married around the same time frame that Jurayah was born. I think it's a couple of days prior to her being born or after her being born. Don't quote me on the time frame, but she was born and they were married within the same time frame. Once they became married, Morris was asked to take a paternity test because it had been revealed to Takia by one of Morris's family members that he had a baby with another individual that was not her. When she found out about the child, it was after Morris had took the DNA test that he also altered so that it came back inconclusive, that it stated that he was not Jurayah's father because he did something to the test. Excuse me, I'm getting out of my car. He did something to the test where it came back faulty and stated that he was not Jurayah's father, which that was a complete lie because as we all know, he is Jurayah's father. Once Takia found out about the baby, she took it upon herself to want another DNA test done, which she made sure that she was the person who transported Dedruana and Jurayah to the DNA test location. She made Morris follow in a car behind them. Once the test came back that Morris was the father of Jurayah, they stepped in and started keeping Jurayah. Over time, Jurayah received several boo-boos, if that's what you want to call them. All of these accidents occurred in Takia Soley's possession of Jurayah. For some odd reason, Morris was never around when she fell and scraped her face up. It looks like she was in a boxing match. Takia lives her life and her family as well. They are from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. They live their life off of reputation. It was a complete embarrassment to find out that the man of your dreams, this alpha male who's a football coach and he teaches school and he's this handsome gentleman coming from this background of a family who, you know, is well known in Port Gibson, Mississippi. He stepped out and had a baby with someone who was completely different from you, a whole 360 different from you. And it bothered her because it was not her first child with him. But this is not his first cheating episode. This is just the first baby that has been revealed. He was sleeping with someone while Takia was just in jail for these 8 months. He has a whole girlfriend currently. Trying to get this on every platform because somebody has to know about what's going on in the state of Mississippi. Yeah, you want to talk about a man who's like 64 years old, not knowing that this is his son, his deceased brother. Mind you, the brother's deceased. His deceased brother's child that's almost in her 30s, probably almost 40. You want them to speculate this, but you don't want to tell that you're the judge that knows the defendant's wife and the defendant, and you let her out of jail. This baby needs her name sung and screamed across America at this point because Mississippi is corrupt. And I hope everybody hears me say that. Mississippi is corrupt. The father is a gang member. Takia is a murderer. Her mom is a murderer. She killed 3 of her kids.
Oh, whoa.
It's a family curse, and they all need to be outed. Jurayah is the victim, not Takia. Jurayah, not Dedruana. Jurayah. She's not a nurse anymore. She lost that certificate when she refused to call 911 for this baby that was in her house, dead for hours before they even chose to contact the mom. She's not a nurse. That woman is a thorn in our spine, and people need to know that. You found your first baby in your home dead, and you don't try to resuscitate her. You don't call ambulatory services. You don't do anything for hours, and then you call her mom to let her mom walk in and find her like that. Not on your way to the emergency room. You didn't call her and say, "Hey, Dedruana, we're on our way to such and such hospital. Meet us there." You're sitting on the couch, rockabye and kumbaya with your baby, singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" with a smile on your face when she walks in and goes in the back to find her deceased daughter.
Wow.
Get it together.
Let me.
That's where the corruption comes in. I'm not sure if you've seen the news. I was going to send it to you. I just got off work. I was going to send it to you the night that they just did a news article. It's on the sister AJ's page. That's who you honestly need to do an interview with. She's more aware and alert of all this, I guess, logistics that you will want to have that will verify what you're looking for. But yes, sir, he is also facing capital murder. He has not went to trial because it has come out. This is why TKia has got released, because the judge knows Mr. Morris Beverly's father. Her father is a pastor and his father is a pastor. They are co-pastors at the same church. Their families spend time together. If you notice, TKia went to trial and she got sentenced within the same time frame.
Yes.
Morris trial had got pushed back. TKia 8 months later has now been released.
So wait. Did he get out on bond?
Yes, sir. He went to jail the same time TKia did. It's on
Damn. Well, how much was his bond?
His bond was $1 million too when they first went in.
Stop.
This is her second bond.
Where the hell are they getting this money from?
He's a frat brother. He's a frat brother, and they know a lot of the organizations. Mississippi is very corrupt, and they know a lot of organizations. His father, TKia's father, is a gang member. He has gang members who supporting TKia to get out of prison. These are well-known gang members in the state of Mississippi. You can look them up on arrest.org. They are donating money to bond this girl out of jail. These are organizations from like the University of Southern Mississippi, Paternity Brothers. This is what they're doing. This is corruption. The judge knew about all this. This is why she has not had Morris go to trial any time at all, and she still does not have a trial date.
Wait. Hold on.
Go ahead.
So maybe this confirms, and I'm just throwing this out there, when we talk about corruption, maybe one of those jurors might have said that in order to get her off?
The jury. Let me tell you about the jury. It's jury number 24.
What they're saying is one of the jurors failed to say that they were related to Jurayah's side of the family.
This is an assumption. He is not related to Jurayah at all.
Because that side of the family is saying they don't know who this dude is at all.
He does not. He told the judge he does not know Dedruana, nor does he know Jurayah. It is from Dedruana's sister, who does not have the same father as her. And say this to say that she doesn't even know if this man is her biological father, because there are several candidates who could be her father. These are their words, that there are several candidates. This is not even anything that's in stone that this is her father, let alone that his brother is her uncle. And we know if her and Dedruana has different dads, how was that Jurayah's uncle? He didn't even know Jurayah was Dedruana's daughter, let alone that Dedruana was Jurayah's mom.
When people were asked about the character of TKia, most described her as being a well-rounded and well-liked person. And even though she played it very classy and cool when finding out about the DNA results, she still expressed in moments of frustration how she truly felt about the situation and about the baby.
Stay the night over there.
Let me say this while you're going to. I was at the autopsy. The pathologist says nothing. She could have walked around with a plane like she was at the hospital, okay? She wouldn't have been like that. When this happened, it was massive.
I don't know.
So her walking around playing the hospital, it hadn't happened yet.
What do you mean?
It was massive, according to the doctor. It was severe. Not that she could have played with 8, been normal.
We gotta take some. I understand he a doctor. He been doing this. We need to take some tests. We need to take the test because this.
That's what the doctor did. He did an autopsy.
Say that again.
That's what.
Yes,
the
I know.
doctor
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about lie detector tests. Don't y'all do that?
We can arrange that to happen.
Well, we need to do that. Put me and Morris on that because this.
I'm not saying that you are.
I'm saying it. I know you're not, and I know y'all not accusing nobody. But what you just read to me, and what we're telling you, didn't nobody have that baby but me and Morris. We did not hurt that baby. We did not hurt that baby.
How did the baby get hurt?
I don't know. I should have never took that baby in.
How did the baby get hurt?
I don't know. I should have never took that baby in.
How did the baby get hurt?
I don't know. I should have never took that baby in.
I will definitely be bringing updates on this story as the trial begins and as things progress. I really want justice for Jurayah. These people deserve to serve their natural lives in prison. I couldn't even imagine what the bio mom is going through right now. The killers are out on bond. One is getting a new trial. The other one doesn't even have one set up yet. They have GoFundMes and community support and Facebook and Twitter accounts supporting, the cause of I Stand with Kia. But what about the justice for this baby? For the past 3 years, Jurayah's mom has fought so hard for justice, while the Beverlys wouldn't even post her on her birthday, on the anniversary of her death. Not until their trials were coming up. After she passed, they treated Jurayah like she didn't exist. Let us all become advocates not only for our children, but for every child. Once again, it's very hard to close with, I hope you enjoyed the video. So instead, I will close with, if you see something, say something. And always listen to those gut feelings. I want to thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate every last one of my subscribers. So please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I premiere or go live and catch some of my older commentary. Good night.
Hey, it's me, unapologetically Captain for enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. Hey, it's me, unapologetically Captain for enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. Hey, it's me, unapologetically Hey, it's me, unapologetically